You thought about exploring other options as far as training is concerned?
Yes, I will say my father is no longer my head trainer at the moment, but I have been looking at other options at the moment. So I know some things had to get shooken up a little bit, just had to move different ways. That's
What is going on, fight fans? It's your man Tay the Visionary. You're now tuned in to Black Cold Boxing. We back with another video, and this time it is about Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. Shout out to Brian Norman Jr., man. He just did an interview with Cigar Talk. Shout out to Cigar Talk for doing this interview where Brian Norman Jr. was actually asked about the situation between him and his father, if they had actually spoken to each other after the fight, and what's going on. So Brian Norman actually explained that he actually parted ways with his dad as his head trainer. So he didn't actually say that he fired him, but if you listen to the interview, it sounds like he fired his dad as his head trainer. And when the interviewer asked him from Cigar Talk, when he asked him, why did y'all part ways? Brian Norman said, because I like to win. I like winning. With that being said, it just kind of sounds like he kind of basically accusing his father being the reason that he lost. You know, or not saying that he solely put the responsibility or the fault on his dad. But I think he's saying that a lot of it was his dad and he likes to win and his dad just didn't give him a winning game plan. But believe it or not, I actually saw Brian Norman out in Atlanta about a month ago. So I'm out here working and I see him dressed in regular clothes, looking real humble dude. I seen him, I called out his name, and we briefly talked about the fight, and he basically told me that he just felt like he wasn't focused during that fight, and that he would like the Devin Haney rematch. And I told him, I said, I think if you want that rematch, you ain't gonna get it without anything valuable, without anything to offer him. And he said he understands that. He wants the Devin Haney rematch. That's what he's focused on. And he knows that he's not going to be able to get that rematch unless he has another world title. So I think that already lets us know where his mindset is at, is to get right back into the game, get another world title, and avenge his only loss on his record. But during this Cigar Talk interview, Brian Norman said that there was a lot of distractions going on in the camp. He did a lot of interviews, a lot of guys coming in with cameras, random people coming in to say what's up to him and actually stop him during his training, which can be very distracting. I get that. I understand that. But to a lot of people, I also feel like that's just going to come off as an excuse. When you're in a world title fight, there's no excuses. Especially when you and your father just kind of putting it in everybody's mind that this is not going to go to distance. I'm going to knock him out. When you talking like that, there are no such thing as excuses. I mean, I get where he was coming from, and it's actually refreshing to see a fighter actually sit down, interview, and be honest about what's going through their mind building up to the fight. Because he was actually saying he knew that he wasn't focused. Like something was off. And he also said his ego played a big part in the reason that he lost. He said his ego because he just felt like he was going to come in there, disrespect Devin Haney's power, have no consideration for his power whatsoever, and just walk right through him. And that was his ego talking, and it cost him because he underestimated him. And I think it takes a lot for fighters to admit things like that. But it's nice to see that he was able to be honest about that. So anyway, the interviewer had actually asked him, did you and your father talk after the fight? And he said, no, they didn't really talk much after the fight, which he felt was kind of awkward. Now, if you ask me, I completely understand where Brian Norman is coming from, and I actually agree with him replacing his trainer. Now, I know a lot of guys like to replace their trainer after a fight, and you can't always blame the trainer for the boxer's inability to perform when they actually get in the ring. You feel what I'm saying? But I feel like this is one of those situations that's different. You can't blame the trainer for the fighter's inability to perform, but what you can do is blame the trainer for the game plan that was given to the fighter. So I feel like from the moment they got in the ring, if y'all remember the fight, Brian Norman won that first round. He was definitely more busy. Devin Haney was moving around a lot trying to figure him out. But after that first round, Senior actually gave Brian Norman the advice in the corner to just walk through him. Just move forward. Use your jab. Go forward. Go up and down. He ain't got no power. So don't worry about that.
You understand? Step to him. Run into him and hit the body with it. He don't hit hard. He don't counter punch. I already told you that. You heard me? He's trying to do that. He's trying to hit you in the back of the head on the break. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Ref.
Hey, now look, come on with it, man. Because he ain't really sure of himself now. Pick the intensity up with your lead hand, man. 2s and 3s, he's going to start driving with the lead
Just
hand.
take it to him. Take it to him. Keep the distance. Keep everything going. Keep fading him high and low.
High and low.
High and low. High and low.
And I just feel like that's terrible advice to give your fighter in any round, in any situation against any opponent. Like your opponent not having power should never be a reason for you to be reckless or for you to go in careless. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, you had already won the first round. It was only the second round of the fight, going into the second round of the fight. So there was no sense of urgency that should have caused you to say, you know, oh, disregard his power, go in here and just jab on the death. You know what I mean? Like, I like the fact that he told him to go up and down with his punches, but outside of that, I think it was just terrible advice, especially going into the second round of a fight. And it's crazy because leading up to this fight, his dad was doing a lot of interviews, talking crazy, you know, saying that Devin ain't got no power.
Do you know that Greg Hackett just won his fourth fight in 18 years old? Yeah, 17, 18 years. He just won his fourth fight in 17, 18 years, bro. Why would you listen to Greg Hackett? Training? What does Greg Hackett know about training? Greg Hackett don't know nothing about training. So no, that's not true.
Which is crazy because when the fight came, it looked like he didn't know much about training because that was just terrible advice. And I feel like, you know, sometimes some trainers will be good. They'll give you that amateur level experience. But once you get up to the pros, when you start finally fighting B+, A+ elite fighters, sometimes you just need to change up things. I know we all wish that we had Terrence Crawford's situation where we could just go in and end our careers with the same coaches we started with. But for a lot of fighters, it ain't going to be that way. Sometimes you got to get a new trainer, somebody who can take you further. Your father is only going to be able to take you but so far. And after that, you might just need some new experience. You might need to learn some new lessons. You might need to go ahead and reach a new checkpoint. You feel what I'm saying? So outside of that, he did say that he possibly could be back in the ring in March or April. I would love to see Brian Norman Jr. come back and fight in April. If he could come back in March, that would be cool, but I think April is more realistic. And the guy who was doing the interview, I apologize, I don't know his name, but for Cigar Talk, the guy who did the interview for him was saying, do you feel like Top Rank still believe in you? You know, because sometimes after a fighter lose, the promotional company try to get whatever they can out of them, and then they just discard them at that point. And he said, you know, I feel like they believe in me. We talking about coming back for a March or April fight. There's still some other champions out there. There's the IBF champion, Louis Crocker. You still got Rolly Romero out there. Of course, Mario Barrios is about to have a fight with Ryan Garcia. So that might be off the table at this moment. But I think those would be good fights for him, especially the Louis Crocker fight. I feel like, to be honest with you, I don't know much about Louis Crocker. That might be one of the easiest ways to get a title, and it'll get you some bargaining power so that you can get back into the ring with Devin Haney if that's really what you want to do. But if you ask me, I think that the best thing Brian Norman could do right now, if he can't get the Louis Crocker or the Rolly fight, is to fight Conor Benn. And the reason I say that is because Conor Benn is in contention to fight one of these champions very soon, possibly Devin Haney. So I would try to get in the way of that. Forget that. I think that Brian Norman should be trying to look for a fight against Conor Benn. Conor Benn has a style that could possibly help Brian Norman because Conor Benn throws punches that you can see coming. You feel what I'm saying? And if you can beat Conor Benn, then it'll have people looking at you differently. Like, oh, okay, he might deserve another title shot, especially since Conor Benn is already in line for one. Get him out the way so you can get right back in front and get one of these other champions. But that's all I got for y'all today, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about him replacing his father as a trainer and who he should fight next. Like, subscribe, comment, man. We trying to get the subscribers up to 1,000. I am almost there. Peace. Much love to you.